All right. So today, what I want to talk about is I want to give you a roadmap of where we're at so far in this program, and we're gonna start talking about detoxing your gut. And so I'm excited for this part of the program because this is really like everything that we do when it comes to changing your diet to drinking more water, mineralizing, boosting your immune system by taking fermented cod liver oil for vitamin D. All of those things at the end of the day, essentially what I'm trying to do with all of that when I started doing all of this was basically to improve and clean out the environment of your gut, right? And so there's a couple of ways that I think of improving and cleaning out the environment of your gut. And one is simply by removing toxic foods going into your body. And then the next piece is basically where, what we're going to be doing now, which is basically starting to implement different techniques to clean out your gut. Now, ultimately, I believe that the best tool you're going to be able to use to clean out your gut is going to be fasting. However, the reason why I keep pushing fasting a little bit down the road is because when your body is very toxic, fasting can be very aggressive when it comes to detoxing, right? You don't want to overwhelm your body with all the toxicity that's in the body. And so that's one of the reasons why the way that I think of the program is basically these phases where the first phase is all about strengthening the body. It's about helping the body produce more energy. And then we move into detoxing your liver, because when you start to fast or when you start to do um, other things to clean out your gut or just detox in general, your liver is basically the pathway. That's basically the way that the body is going to actually get rid of that toxicity. And so the way to think about it is this is your bottleneck, meaning that you cannot detox the rest of your body unless your liver is able to handle it. Another way of saying that is you can only detox as good as your liver is capable of detoxing. Okay, so that's the reason why I want to emphasize this part, and it's the reason why I want to make sure that you have a clear view of this, this roadmap of what we're going through. So I want to illustrate this for you real quick, and then we're gonna get right into gut detoxing. So So number one, so far we've been dealing with energy production. Okay. And as you know, energy in the body, the way that your body makes energy, you need water. First of all, like that's one of the key ingredients for your body to actually make energy. When you look at the concept of energy, I like to use the battery example, right? Where every cell of your body is just like a battery, right? You have a positive and a negative kind of thing, and you have a conductive material. Well, inside of that cell, there's water. Okay, so if you've ever heard the term pH, okay, pH, some people think of it as acidic versus alkaline, but what this really means is potential hydrogen. And that's basically another way of saying voltage, right? So we're literally talking about a battery in here. And so the way that the way that the body produces energy is basically that there's an exchange between hydrogen and oxygen, right? And so water, it's H2O, it's hydrogen and oxygen, right? This is basically how your cells work. So we use that as as a way to get, um, hold on, we got someone joining the call right now. Cool. So we use water as a way to give the body the raw material that it needs to produce energy. And then the minerals, where they come in here is that they're actually the ones that conduct the electricity. So these are the conductive materials. right? So that's basically part one. And then there's vitamin D. Okay, vitamin D to me, it's kind of like the charge that gets stored inside of these batteries. It's really what triggers a lot of these, a lot of your gut flora and the mitochondria to basically allow it to function. And the way that I think of that is just, like the example of that I like to use, having a tree. You have the root system of a tree. Your gut is just like the root system of a tree. In order for that to grow, you need water, minerals, and then you need sunlight. You need vitamin D. Okay, that's what your body needs to grow. That's basically energy. Vitamin D, it's direct energy from sunlight. That's basically what you are getting, right? So this is essentially what I think of as the toolkit that you need to produce energy. The last one is basically coenzyme Q10, and coenzyme Q10 is the nutrient that actually powers on your mitochondria. So what I want to emphasize today is that these nutrients, all of these ingredients, I want you to relate those to getting energy. I want you to think of these and associate them with not only energy, but strength. So, and the reason why I want to make this association is because as you begin to detox, right, your body's going to be exposed to toxicity. And toxicity, you got to think of toxicity as like rust on cables, right? So rust basically powers you down. Rust is bad, right? So toxic waste, that's basically what it's doing. It's basically taking away conductivity from the body. And the way that you experience toxicity in the body is basically, if you ever feel weak, nauseous, headaches, things like that, that's just basically your body being exposed to toxins. And what happens with autoimmune conditions is that a lot of those toxins are produced by bad bacteria that lives in your gut. And that bad bacteria, all those toxins, because they're produced inside of the body, they're called endotoxins. Endo meaning that, coming from within, right? So like the entire endocrine system, like that's basically all that this is. And so what I want you to understand is that the path for toxic waste to get out of the body is going to be basically through your liver first. And then if that gets clogged, then it moves into your lymph system. But at the end of the day, most of that toxic waste is coming from your gut. So no matter what, we have to focus on cleaning your gut. And the way that I think of autoimmune conditions for me, when I start to like first understand all of this, was that I visualized my gut as like a fermentation vessel, kind of like when I'm brewing beer. I make beer and I have, the beer sitting in a glass container, a fermenter basically. That fermenter needs to be clean and sanitized so that the beer doesn't spoil. If there's any contact with oxygen, right, that oxidizes the product, right? So this is where all this knowledge from, don't buy vegetable oils and, oils that come in plastic bottles because they get exposed to oxygen. Like that's where a lot of that knowledge comes from. But at the end of the day, basically what I started to understand and realize is that your microbiome, okay, what lives in your gut, you got to think of it as like a batch of beer that you just brewed. But now if you have autoimmune conditions, to me, that's like getting a spoiled batch of beer. You have some sort of wild yeast, some sort of bad bacteria, a parasite, a virus, something growing in there that's not supposed to be there. And so in the brewing setting, when you have a spoiled batch of beer, it's so hard to fix it that basically what ends up happening is you end up dumping the entire thing. You salvage anything that is non-porous material like glass, stainless steel, things like that you can actually clean and sanitize. Anything that's porous, whether it's plastics, wood, or anything that is porous, that gets thrown out because the bad bacteria will actually nest in there. And so this is where I started to think, and ask myself, like, how can I take that knowledge from brewing beer and apply it to my microbiome, right? So this is where, how I started to come up with Beer Diet Project, is trying to like take lessons that I learned from brewing beer and said, okay, I can't dump it out, and your gut is a porous material. I can't just throw it out and replace it, right? Like you can't just do that. So how do I clean and sanitize it? Okay. And so this is why I started to understand that I knew that this was going to be a challenge, but I had no other option. Okay. I don't know of any way to, get a full intestine or digestive system replacement. So until then, this is basically what became my, my journey, I guess, my experiment to begin with. And so let me walk you through, what I did here. So, like I said, step one, it's all about strengthening. And the reason why I'm going to keep bringing that up is because as we begin to detox, right, um, the first step that, the first place you want to detox is your liver. Now, I mentioned this in the last video, that when you detox your liver, or when you're doing any detox whatsoever, I am not afraid of detoxing, but you just have to be aware that anytime that you're detoxing, you're moving toxins around your body. And we just don't know exactly how this is going to, affect us, how our bodies are going to react, what's being moved. Like there's a lot of unknowns. As much knowledge as I and other people have about the microbiome and what kind of bacteria, lives within us, there's a lot that we don't know. And so the biggest reason why I emphasize number one, energy, is because anytime that you detox, if you ever feel like, hey, I think I may have detoxed too fast, too soon, go back to your energy pack, basically your water, minerals, vitamin D, coenzyme Q10, because that's what's going to recharge you. That's what's going to give you back that strength, that all of that toxic waste that you're trying to remove is basically, powering you down, right? It's basically how you're reversing that. Right. So if you understand that part, now you're starting to understand how to play and how to use this effectively, because now as you begin to detox, there may be times where you want to actually push yourself in a detox. Okay, so for example, like a liver detox, Bacopa monnieri is one of the Ayurvedic herbs that I use. And I've done detoxes where I only take, one or two capsules just to start out and, be safe. But then I may move that up to like 3 or 4 if I'm not feeling like I'm getting, a good enough detox. And so I'm not afraid to push my detox, but I want to give you that awareness that when you are indeed detoxing, you're moving toxins around, and you have the, what I put together as the energy jumpstart kit as your toolkit to basically have something to fall back on in case you do overdo the detox. Okay, so that's the reason why I want to really emphasize this, so that you can, do this in this order, because this is going to be the easiest way, the safest and most effective way to actually clean out your body. So right now, where we're at in this program is, we are essentially, so we're essentially, we got the energy part down. You guys are drinking water, you guys are adding minerals, you guys are doing the vitamin D, and then you're doing your detox with liver and coenzyme Q10. And so what that means is that your liver should be now starting to be cleaner and cleaner. Now it's going to take a while for your liver to be cleaner and cleaner. And this is where food starts to help you out, right? Good healthy fats like coconut oil, avocados, ghee, butter, and other healthy fats, they help you regenerate your liver. Okay, your liver takes about 2 to 3 months to fully regenerate, and I want to say that it takes, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 gallons of coconut oil roughly. which is it's a lot of coconut oil, but that's basically the raw material that the body uses to regenerate the liver, and that's one of the reasons why I would, I basically buy coconut oil by the gallon, because when I was going through my liver detox, this is basically what I knew was happening was that not only was I cleaning it out, but I also had to give it the raw materials so that it can regenerate itself. Because one thing that I want you to think about is that when you're detoxing, that's basically, you have all your cells of your body. So your liver has cells, and those cells, if your liver is toxic, those cells are damaged. Okay, so you need to be able to replace those cells, and you need to be able to regenerate them. And the omega-3 in good healthy fats, that's basically what that does, right? That's why you want to add more omega-3s into your diet. Even regular cod liver oil, not fermented, but just regular cod liver oil, is a good type of oil that can help you with this. Krill oil is another one. So, some of these fish oils, if you get wild caught salmon, that has a lot of really good oils. All of that is going to help you with your liver. Okay. But we're at this stage now. Okay. And so now the next part is, now that you're basically helping your liver function by cleaning it out, right? Now we're going to start to detox your gut. Okay. And again, understand that what is living in your gut is what's creating all of that toxic waste to begin with. So what I started using, and I'll probably send you, post a link or something, after the training, below this training or something, where I shared this video years ago when I first was getting started, when I was using this product. It's called Oxy Powder. And I'm actually going to be doing a cleanse of this tonight. I haven't done one in a while, so I'm just going to, do one tonight and just, just see. It's just cleaning out your gut. But essentially what Oxy Powder is, it's an oxygen-based cleanser. And so the way that I take it is, you have to have your last meal at least like 4 hours before bed. And you take this right before you go to bed. You take it with water. And you can just do like water, and I'm going to do 4 capsules of this. I think that's what the actual serving size is. Suggested use. Yeah. So 4 capsules is the suggested use. And the one thing though, is because I've taken this before, and it does say in the bottle here. So read the labels, because I literally just follow the instructions in here. One of the tips that they say was to add the juice of half of a lemon, organic lemon. And when you're taking your add lemon to your water that you're going to be drinking with this, because that's going to actually help activate. And what I found was that adding lemon does actually like make it more cleansing than if I just do water. Like if I just did water, sometimes I wouldn't even feel anything the next day. But essentially, here's what's going to happen. Okay, and I want to make sure that you're preparing for this, because oxygen, that's going to go down into your gut, and it's going to basically clean out your gut. Now, the way that I think of this, okay, this is why this makes sense to me. This is the way that I explain it to myself to understand, what was going on. One thing that I understand about yeast, bacteria, and, basically stuff that lives in your microbiome is that when these guys eat, okay, they do this in one of 2 ways. One of them is what they call aerobic respiration, and the other one is anaerobic respiration. So in brewing beer, okay, the way that this works is when you have, a fermenter, right? This is water and sugar essentially, and you put yeast into it. What the yeast do is they go into this liquid and they basically begin to uptake all the oxygen until there's no more oxygen left, right? And so when there's oxygen present, that's basically aerobic respiration. When the oxygen is depleted, they go into anaerobic respiration, which is basically once yeast enters the anaerobic stage, that's when fermentation begins and you make beer. Now, the only reason why I'm even bringing this up probably don't even need to know any of this, is basically what I started to understand was like, okay, if I'm eating food and there's bad stuff in my gut, I now understand why it just drains my oxygen and I feel tired 30 minutes later. Okay. And this is basically one of the ways that I start to think about the environment that's happening in my gut. And I started to understand what was going on in my gut. Because if you're getting gas, right, if you're getting bloating and stuff like that, essentially what happens is when these creatures go into anaerobic fermentation, this is where, in brewing beer, I know that that's where beer is created. Alcohol is created through anaerobic fermentation. In our bodies, that doesn't happen because there's other enzymes that break down the alcohol, but basically alcohol and CO2, carbon dioxide gas, is basically the byproduct of this process. And so it just made complete sense why I would eat, something like pizza, starch, right? Just like grains, starch, sugar. And if you have yeast overgrowth, right, yeast candida, this is what they're doing. There's abnormal fermentation going on in the small intestine. And so you're basically having this environment that allows for, if this is like a wild yeast, the bad type of bacteria, your environment is allowing that yeast to thrive in there. Okay. And so using a cleanser, an oxygen-based cleanser, to me, the way that I think of it is that it's going to create an environment where you're being brought back to an aerobic type of environment, which does two things. Number one, when you're in an anaerobic stage, right, in brewing beer, the way that this looks through fermentation is that your pH drops. So basically you become acidic, right? And that's what yeast do, right? They create that environment of acidity, and we want to basically be more alkaline. And so this is one of the ways that, environment plays a huge role in your gut. And so what is going to start to happen is as you begin to clean out your gut, not just with oxy powder, but, later on, as I share other, other detox protocols, especially fasting, what is going to happen is that the environment in your gut is going to basically change. And now you're not going to be experiencing that abnormal fermentation in the small intestine, right? If you're getting any kind of gas or bloating, that's basically what that is. It's an abnormal fermentation, and it's what gives growth to what's called small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, SIBO, SIBO. This is basically what's going on, how it happens. And so cleaning your gut is essentially what you're going to do. And the more that you clean your gut, that's the formula, is that the cleaner your gut is, the less toxins that you're going to have, which means you're going to have less of a need to detox because your body's just going to be cleaner. And the cleaner your body is, the less body fat your body needs. Okay, this is as scientific as I've been able to get to how do you actually burn body fat and get rid of it, is you got to remove toxicity. And the biggest source of toxicity in your body is your gut. Okay. So this is basically, what we're doing, at this stage. So now that you're cleaning out your liver, you're ready to start cleaning out your gut, because any kind of toxins that may be removed from here, your liver is now able to handle, more of it. Now, the way that this one works, a lot of the toxic waste is actually going to come, through bowel movements. And so, from experience, the way that this, what you're going to feel is you're going to take it at night, and then you're going to go to sleep. And, while you're sleeping, that's where it does, all its thing. It's basically, I think of it as like a cleanser, just kind of like, hey, you're just soaking your gut essentially in like this cleansing thing. And then in the morning, you're going to basically go to the bathroom. Now, one of the things that this does is that it literally breaks up what looks like dark tar-like material that is in your intestines. Again, this is stuff that has been there for who knows how long, but you're going to feel, okay, as soon as you get rid of this, and it's going to feel almost like diarrhea to an extent. So don't be alarmed. It's not diarrhea. It's just, basically whatever build up gunk that's in your intestines is going to be coming out as liquid. You're going to see it's going to look dark, like tar like. When you experience this, guys, I'm telling you, you will feel lighter, and you're going to start to see like some really good changes to where when you start to clean out your gut this way, especially if you continue to mineralize, boost your vitamin D, and do all the other things, you're going to get to a point where, like me during my days, not only do I not get hungry, but I feel amazing fasting. And fasting is basically one way to keep your gut clean, and it basically allows your body to continue to clean, because in fermentation, one of the things that happens is, when yeast eat up the sugar and they make, beer, alcohol, and CO2, that takes about 2 to 3 weeks. But after the 2 to 3 weeks, there's what's called a conditioning period. This conditioning period is what some people may call autophagy, which is basically the cells eating themselves. In this case, it's basically yeast going back and cleaning up, and sometimes eating old, yeast cells that, may have died, and they basically regenerate, they repopulate, they clean up. Okay, that's what conditioning is. And so fasting is one way for me. Like when I think of fasting, that's what it is for me. It's a conditioning period. It's when your body actually goes out and cleans out your gut in a natural way without having to use any products whatsoever, which is the best thing about it, right? So when it comes to, you know, ancient wisdom, fasting is the most ancient, free to use healing strategy that there has ever been. It costs nothing to do. Okay. But I want to prepare you for it. And this is how you're going to prepare. Fasting, when, our ancestors used to use it, they didn't have to clean out a lot of this stuff that we have to clean ourselves now, because they weren't exposed to things like, mercury and like high fructose corn syrup and plastics and all the other toxic stuff that's in a lot of our foods, herbicides, pesticides, and all the stuff that has been getting into our bodies. They didn't have to clean any of that. And so I think that originally, initially, using a cleanser like oxy powder really helps you out, because it's kind of like, if you have a pan and you cook bacon and you left all the grease sitting overnight, it's one thing if you let it sitting overnight, you can clean it up the next day. But what if you leave that pan sitting for a year? How hard is that grease going to be? Like, how gross and how hard is it going to be to actually clean it out? That's the reason why I started using oxy powder, to basically get rid of it. But the good thing about it is that once you start to clean it out, you don't really have to use it. The only reason why I've had to like come back and use it is, honestly, it's because sometimes I eat junk just like everyone else. All right. I'm human. I like to treat myself every now and then. So every now and then, like if I don't take care of my health, like, last year when I started, my journey again, I'd gone through a period where I was not taking care of my diet the way that I normally would. And so I felt it. And so that was one of the reasons when I brought it, back in. And, now like I realize and I understand that, hey, you know what, health, I need to make it a priority. I need to make it a skill where I just practice like, taking care of my body all the time. Then I don't have to use these products, and I rely more on fasting. But then again, I know it's a good product, so I will use it to clean out my gut, because at the end of the day, my whole concept on, what I'm doing to optimize my microbiome is I got to clean and sanitize my equipment. I got to clean and sanitize my gut so that I can regrow probiotics. Okay, get rid of bad bacteria and regrow probiotics. That's basically where we are headed. And this is the phase. And I can tell you that cleaning out your gut and your liver is going to be the longest phase. It's not an overnight thing. You're not going to clean it once or twice and just be good. No, you're probably going to go through this for like, I think I went at least, it took maybe like 6 to 9 months to like see like a really good, like noticeable effect. But that's also, how I went from, weighing like 204, 206 pounds down to 160 pounds. And I just felt amazing because my body had been like completely detoxed. And this is basically the process that I followed. So I hope that this makes sense. And I'll be making, I'll be answering questions, I guess, if you guys have any, as far as, doing a gut cleanse. Let me unmute you guys and see where we're at here. All right, you guys are unmuted. So if you guys have any questions about what I just covered, let me know.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you take so much coconut oil? How do you just add it in your smoothies, or?
So when I was doing when I was going through my through like a very strong liver cleanse, that was basically last year. I did about 4 or 5 months doing a ketogenic plant-based smoothie. And the recipe that I used was basically about 3 tablespoons of coconut oil, 1 avocado, tablespoon of hemp seeds, whole, so meaning without the shells. And then I would add either spirulina, chlorella, or blue-green algae. And maca root powder was the other one that I would add. So I would blend that, right? Add water, and it will make about a quart size, basically. It was just a green smoothie, super bland. What gives it the most flavor there was basically the avocado. So as long as the avocado was good tasting, then it would actually have like, a decent, very bland, but at least like, a decent little flavor. And one thing that I would also add a little bit of texture and flavor was cacao nibs, but that was after I would blend everything. I would throw in the cacao nibs afterwards, and then it will have like a crunchy flavor. And it's something that I would basically sip on all day. One thing about that smoothie that I don't know if how often I talk about it, but the way that you want to eat those oils is you want to actually let that oil sit in your mouth, for as long as you can, to allow your saliva to basically, break it down. And so it's something that I would carry that with me all day. And that was basically like my main meal. And I may have like maybe a salad, at night. And that was kind of like my routine, for back then. For right now, I think that with the with the liver cleanse that you guys are doing, you don't have to go like super hard like that. Like when I was doing it, like I was not only doing like the bacoponeary and the herbs that I'm sharing with you guys here. I was doing like other stuff as well. So I was being a lot more aggressive, which is why I was doing all of that. And so at this point, I don't think I want to overwhelm you guys with this. So I would much rather just keep doing what you're doing. Use the Ayurvedic herbs, and you guys are eating enough like good healthy fats. You can take like literally just spoonfuls of coconut oil if you want. And then later on, like I will share with you guys more more strategies on how to detox your liver and how to detox your gut, so that you guys have all of these as tools to use. And and then you guys can decide like, hey, how fast do you want to go, or how slow. But I think for now, like with the way that I'm structuring the program, I think this is like a good way to get started. Like once you do like your gut cleanse, and you guys don't have to do a gut cleanse right now, but I'm making this, I'm sharing this because I know that if you start to combine doing a liver detox and a gut detox, that's basically what I do. Like I just alternate. Some days, like sometimes, like I'll take a month or so, and then I just focus on detoxing my liver. And like I just finished doing that myself with the same Ayurvedic herbs that you guys are taking. I just did that for about a month. Now I'm going to take this month and I'm going to focus more on my gut. Okay, and then at the end of the, at the end of this gut cleanse I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to my liver and detox my liver. And I've just been going back and forth. Like literally this is what my process has been to clean my body out. And it's how I've been able to lean down to the point like I'm the leanest I've ever been in my life. And it's, a combination of diet obviously, but it's mostly like just getting rid of all the toxic waste. And it's by cleaning your gut that's going to happen. Um, so I'm excited for you guys. If you guys do want to try it, I'll send you the link to it. But more than anything, I want you guys to just have it in mind. So if you guys want to just continue doing the liver for maybe another week or two, you guys can totally do that. And then when you're ready, this is going to be the next step. And this is between these two, this is going to be the fastest way that I know of to lose weight and detox. Anytime that you clean your gut, that's basically what's going to allow you to improve your digestive system, because you're cleaning out the environment in your gut, and that's starting to already have an impact on your microbiome, on what kind of bacteria lives there. The less toxic it is, bad bacteria doesn't do well in a clean environment, and your probiotics do better in a clean environment. And so this is basically what we're trying to get to, right? So the cleaner you are, all the bad bacteria will start to like basically go out of the body. And if you get into a rhythm of cleaning it out, the process just becomes easier and easier and easier and faster until you kind of like hit a plateau. So the way that it's going to look is initially you're going to see like rapid gains. Like you're going to see the first time that you guys clean out your gut with this, that feeling alone of like you just feel lighter, like your belly's not going to be like bloated or it's going to be like a sense of relief to an extent. And so the first few times that you do it, like you're going to like notice it. This is basically one of the things that I know like helped me like lose a lot of weight. And it wasn't, I don't like to say weight, because it wasn't so much about the weight, it was like the toxicity. And so I saw like body fat and inflammation just went down. And it's because I removed toxic waste, is how I think of it. And then I had like that, that massive gain. And then I started to plateau to where like, like where I'm at, in order for me to like lean out even more, I gotta now dig like super deep and get into other more advanced detoxing, like like not just liver and gut, but also like my lymph system.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like a little bit further down the road. But I mean, this is the process. So I hope, more than anything, I hope that like the process is making sense, so that you guys know, at what point you guys want to, try out like the next, like the next step, and then just go, just go from there. So I think Cindy was asking stuff here in the chat. Cindy. So yeah, like, Cindy's asking like, are we needing to get the oxy powder? And again, like it's up to you. It's optional. But again, like it is going to be something that eventually you'll want to do it. And to say like you have to, not necessarily, because like you can clean out your gut just through fasting. The only reason why I would go with oxy powder before fasting is because fasting is going to clean you out more by your body basically breaking down through fasting. Basically that is going to expose you to a lot more toxins. Oxy powder is going to actually flush out a lot of stuff through your colon basically, so you're not going to be exposed to as much toxicity as if you were to fast, right? And so that's why I like to use this as an initial cleanser. And once you cleanse that out, then you can actually stop using oxy powder and start implementing fasting, which ideally, like that's what I want to move you guys closer towards. It's fasting, because fasting is going to be way more effective anyways, but we just want to remove that that initial bulk of, whatever maybe you got in your guys' gut. Like, I know my stuff was bad, so you guys will get to see what's in you.
At this time, do we stop doing the whenever we start doing that, do we stop the cod liver oil?
No, Cindy, you're muted, so I don't know if you're trying to say something. We can't hear you.
I'm still with a client, and so I just kind of was watching, so I'm trying not to make too much noise,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm listening. But the oxy, so where would we get that at the natural store? The oxy powder?
I get it from Global Healing Center as a company.
Tina.
I don't
Hey,
think you
babe,
can get that.
how are you?
I'll
Good,
send
how are you?
Good.
I'll send you guys a link to it so you guys can get it. And gosh,
I'm probably gonna have to get off, but I just wanted to, hey, and I'd ask the question, but I was listening.
cool. Hey, no worries. If you have to go, like I said, I'll be posting this, for you guys to watch again. So,
And I'll check out the link. You guys have a wonderful day.
You
all right.
too. All right, good seeing you.
Bye.
Wait, did you ask me another question that I need to answer, or?
I didn't know she was talking because I couldn't see her.
Yeah. Well, I could see her, but she didn't have her mic on.
Okay. I was just wanting to know, like, whenever we do, it's called oxy powder.
Yes.
So when we do that, do we stay on the fish oil?
Yes. So again, water, minerals, and the vitamin D. That's what's going to like give you energy, no matter what. So that's something that you literally just keep taking that. The cod liver oil, like I said, initially, like in the beginning stages, I would just go hard on it because I know that I was low in vitamin D, and when you're low in vitamin D, your body, like your digestive system it's weaker, your immune system's weaker, your digestive process and ability to make nutrients and hormones, all of that is weaker. And so I want to raise that as fast as I can. And then what you're going to notice is that as you begin to clean out your gut and your liver for that matter, your immune system is going to also start to strengthen and improve. So I would do, like I said, that's why the first phase, energy phase that I covered, that's why like that's always there. That's always there. That's your backup. Like that's the one thing that you should not be afraid to like go hard on, right? Like don't be afraid to like do the 10 capsules of fermented cod liver oil. Like that's the kind of stuff that, and I get it, okay? Because like I know when I first started, any kind of product that I was taking for any of this, I was super skeptical. I was like, what is this gonna do to me? Like, what am I gonna feel? And I used to like go through that a lot. And again, like the only ones that I, whenever I have to like be careful is the ones that I talk when we're detoxing. And it's not so much the herb that's bad. It's the fact that it's moving toxins.
Yeah.
And that's what we don't know. Like that's what we gotta be aware of. And not to be afraid, but just to be aware of, because if you, and here's the reason why I want people to be aware of that, and the reason why I emphasize it is not so that people get fear, but there's different kinds of people that watch my trainings, and sometimes I get people who they see that, for example, like I give them like the water, the minerals, the vitamin D, and they go hard at it and they just go like all in on that. But then they start treating all the other products the same. And they'll be like, oh, like this is going to give me energy. And they'll just take the entire bottle. And I have to like let them know, it's like, hey, Ayurvedic herbs, like you're cleaning, like that's different. Like don't overdo that. Like don't think that just because, same thing with like oxy powder. You take 4 capsules. If it doesn't give you bowel movements, it tells you to like increase it by 2 capsules, to go from 4 to 6. But basically you just do it until you get those bowel movements the next day. And again, like, there's no need to overdo it. You're just basically cleaning out. And what was the last thing I wanted to say on this? Oh yeah, the other way that that I do the oxy powder is, it's best if you do it 2 nights in a row at least.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know, like, when you know, like, if you have to, like, go to work or drive early in the morning, plan for that, because you know that's all going to happen in the morning. So so I usually will plan this, like, either on the weekends or sometime where, like, I know that I'm not going to be, you know, when I'm going to be home, and you know, just have access to a bathroom, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, do it 2 nights in a row, clean it out. So you can do it like every weekend, right? 2 days in a row, and then continue doing your liver detox, and then clean out your gut, and then continue doing the liver detox, and then just go from that. Continue doing everything else, improving your diet, mineralizing, hydrating, all of that stuff, and you're just going to start to, like, notice, like, your toxicity levels are going to start going down, body fat's going to start going down, like, a lot of things are going to start to change. Like, this is like the core of the program, really. Like, this is it. Like, you're at that point where, like, from here on out, it's really just about how, you know, how clean do you want your body to be. Like, that's it. I've been cleaning my body for about 8 years, on and off, some years better than others. And when I don't clean my body, I know I start going right back to where I started, and I start gaining weight. I start, you know, feeling less energy and all of these other things. So now it's like, okay, I think I've learned my lesson enough to just, you know,
Yeah.
be good more than anything. So, all right, that is all that I have. All right, that's it for the video. I'm gonna stop recording now.